What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Grist Family Podcast, where we talk about friendships, love, Christ, and everything in between. My name is Kimra. This is my husband, Greg, and we are so glad you guys joined us today. Today's a fun one. We're going to talk about the 90s versus now.
The 90s.
We should have dressed up like it.
I know, right?
I didn't think about that.
We didn't dress up.
Sad story.
That was a big miss right there.
Yeah.
Dang. Dang.
Oh, well.
Dang.
You made sure it was in there?
Dang.
The song, the words, the voice?
Yeah. Well, it's all good. The 90s are in our hearts.
Yes.
They rest.
True
they
that.
rest peacefully in our hearts.
Yeah. That's where it is.
Anyhow.
All right. So my first question is, what is your favorite year of your whole life? Like, pick one year that you just was like, this is the best year. Like, everything was great. Music was great. Clothes, movies.
That's actually a tough one because there were so many great years and like single years in each decade, but there was definitely, I'm going to keep it to the 90s because my favorite year is the year we got married. So I can't, This is an episode about the 90s. So
That's
we're
true.
talking about just the 90s. My favorite year in the 90s, I would say has to be 1997.
Okay.
And 97, there was a lot, just so many good things happening going on. I remember we took a family trip, and that was a trip we actually came to Florida, actually, to go to Disney.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that was in the 97. Pretty sure that was 97. But anyway, there was just so much good things going on. Like, it was just, we had our friends, we had our family, we were just, the movies were good, the music was good, just the culture was there. It just, I don't know, and then it was like the very next year we ended up moving to Pennsylvania from New Jersey. So it was kind of like that last great year.
Hoorah.
It was like that last
As
hoorah.
the military was saying.
Yeah. So yeah, there's really not much. Honestly, there's really not much to why. It's just there was just a lot of good. I just remember having a lot of good feelings as a kid. So I was only like 10 at the time, 9 or 10. At 9, I was 9 at the time. So yeah, there's really not much to say, like, but just good music, good movies, good stuff going on. Good food, good barbecues, good everything.
Okay. Honestly, I don't know. Like, other than our year of marriage, 2017.
Right. Let's just keep it to the 90s. Don't say your favorite.
2017. Yeah. So, like, my favorite 90s year would. Let's see. It would probably have to be like 90, around 98. 90, I think is either 98 or 99. 99 was kind of like a bittersweet thing because we found out we were moving to Italy and we were so depressed. But military kids would get that because you hate moving away, and then then you end up loving the place that you're at. So now we like love Italy, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, so I think it was 90. It had to be 99. One of those years we had a house party and it was fun.
Yeah, we had those too. Like, we had the little, like, at our old church, we had, this was way back in the day.
I mean, we was like,
first church,
I think I was middle
groups.
school still, but like, middle school. My sister was, I think she might have been high school, like the first years of high school.
Yeah.
And so, like, my parents threw the house party at our house, and so it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I get to hang with the high schoolers.
Yeah. I remember every year I did this with like family members, but like we'd go to Ohio where my family is. Shout out to my family in Ohio. I love you guys, miss you guys in Canton. We play cards. I mean, I was young, I was a kid, and I was still coming from it from that kid point of view, but it was still fun. It was just seeing everybody, the smiles on everybody's faces, and we got together pretty consistently every year. You know, living in Jersey, we used to drive to Ohio a lot, at least a few times a year, and then we would stay for a while, especially in the summer when we were off from school. So I just remember like so many good times of like board games and card games and just family laughing and smiling and you know, people were healthy, and you know, it was just like, I have to say, it has to be in that 96, 97 range where things were just kind of moving.
And it was just easy.
Yeah, it was
easy
just
living.
Yeah, there was just so much good stuff going on, man. And when you have friends and family there, there's nothing more you can really ask for. I mean,
did you have like a favorite song in the 90s, like
honestly,
like your all-time favorite?
You know, that's so funny because the moment I say one, but in another 20 minutes, I'll think of another one. So it's hard to even like, I should have like thought about this
or
and
maybe
wrote them
even
down.
a cluster of.
Oh yeah, I mean,
We'll do a cluster of songs then.
Well, you know, 97 was the year of Will Smith. 97, pretty much 96, 97, 98 were all like the years of Will Smith, man.
Yeah.
Between the Men in Black album, the Big Willie Style album, man, because that's what we were allowed to listen to.
Yeah.
You know, even though my brother and my
Snuck
cousins and stuff, they would sneak and listen to the parental advisory stuff.
Yeah.
But I was pretty chill. Like at that time, I wasn't trying to. I wasn't really into music. Like I like the music my mom played. So I like the music. I love the jazz and
like
the R&B
more,
that my mom and my dad played when we would, you know, do on family drives or whatnot. So. I wasn't. My brother and them, they were more into like the music culture in the
actual
90s. Yeah, like the more than like, because like I liked music, but not like that. It was more for me. It was more movies and cartoons.
Well, what movie then?
Well, I mean,
I know what movie.
but what's funny is my favorite
that.
movie didn't become my favorite movie till like way later. So my favorite movie happens to be a movie from the 90s, but it wasn't my favorite movie when I was in the 90s. Which is Forrest Gump. I love Forrest Gump. It's my movie. Just classic, just well-rounded movie. But my favorite movie from the 90s probably,
Space
it's going to sound like a
Jam.
kid. Honestly, Space Jam is up there, but it doesn't top Jurassic Park.
You know, Jurassic Park is like a classic, but it also is like a timeless movie.
It's timeless. The dinosaurs still look better in that movie than they do now.
Right.
They look too real. They look too digital now.
Yeah. I still like watch that movie and I'm just like, wow, this is awesome.
I can't believe what the team,
to
Spielberg and them did with that movie. So yeah, that was my favorite movie. What was yours?
You know, I'll never have no favorite. Like, so wait, was Bring It On and stuff in the 90s? That was 2000s.
That was late. The first one might have been late 90s, early 2000s, but
okay,
I wouldn't fault you for thinking it was in the 90s.
Like mid 90s, I would say I definitely love. Well, I like Selena, but I didn't want to watch it because I would always cry, and I didn't want to cry.
That was a sad time.
I like that movie
Pac,
so much.
Selena,
yeah,
Biggie.
My Girl. That was
the movie My Girl.
Yeah, My Girl. That one made me cry too.
Yep. Especially the bees got him, but he was just
I know. I know.
Oh man, that
still
gets me to this day.
Why I like all these morbid movies?
And then he ended up doing that other one, The Good Son. That was sad too.
I didn't see
that was kind of like a thriller. That was one where Elijah Wood was a little kid and Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin was he was the villain. He was the bad kid that killed people and.
Really?
You don't remember that movie?
I've never
Good
seen
Son?
that. Never heard of that movie.
Played that movie is a classic. That goes down as my favorite, one of my favorites from the 90s. Oh, we forgetting like Little Giants, all the little teen movies, the kids
Little
movies
Rascals,
that came out, the cartoon the Disney movies and stuff that came out in the 90s.
Like any Disney movie was my favorite movie. Like
I know.
I would watch them all
Lion
over
King.
and over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, man, they're just
Pippi
like
Longstocking. I don't know if it
even.
was 9. I think it was more like an 80s movie, but Pippi Longstocking was my all-time favorite. And my sister used to
That goes
hate.
way back though. That's
I think
before
that's
the
like an 80s.
90s.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's what I said. I said I don't know if it's the 90s or not, but that was one of my favorite movies that I would
and
watch,
then
and I would probably still watch it today.
and oh, and then I remember the year that we went and saw the movie Twister in Canton. And what's funny is in Ohio, Canton, they get tornadoes a lot. Like they'll get tornadoes in the
You weren't
summers and
scared?
spring. No, we were, because when we saw that movie, it happened to be around that time.
No.
We saw it in the Dollar Theater across the street, the old theater. And then like in that same time, there was literally like, because they'll throw the
Twisters
sirens
alert,
and stuff
yeah.
on the town sirens, and that joint would scare you because it'd be like the tornadoes be close, like
Yeah.
over there. They had a lot of tornado warnings, like meaning you're like really close.
Yeah,
So
Midwest.
man, I just remember that one summer. Matter of fact, that I think that was in '97, and yeah, and we had to like, you know, we were all kind of
Get
scared.
into the basement and stuff.
Well, we were on my grandparents and stuff. We were on the higher floors, so
Oh,
my
so y'all were
grandmother,
safer.
yeah, my grandmother and my great grandmother, they were on the higher floors, the eighth floor, and I think the ninth floor, or the sixth floor, and yeah, it's just so many little memories that were like, you know, just we've had thrilling moments and happy moments and sad moments, but like all of those kind of make up for an experience that's unforgettable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not that you like the sad times or you like the bad, you know, the hard times, but
Yeah.
all those kind of times, moments
Yeah.
made for a really exciting year.
Yeah. So how is the current decade different from the 90s?
Oh, how
And
is
like,
it different?
I mean, I know it's really different, but like, what are some things that are just like, man, you know?
Everything. I don't even know where to start. That's like
I guess that's a
broad
big
of
question.
that's too
Yeah.
broad of a question for me to. It's just
Even
everything's
open
different.
up, yeah.
Everything. Mostly for the worse. I'm optimistic.
Dang, babe.
I'm optimistic, but I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's hard to. But I think it doesn't even matter like what happened in this
trying
decade
to
that
think,
we're in.
like-
But it's like
I mean, I know too. Like everything is different, obviously. Like because, you know, the past is past, is future is
mean-
future. Yeah. I just feel like people are kind of like we definitely act different than we used
Oh, yeah.
to, and, you know.
well, technology's changed us so much, and that's like we talked about that the other week.
Yeah,
you
the
know,
last week.
last week when, you know, I mean, technology has literally changed everything about us. Now, of course, it's hard to evaluate something like that from one perspective because we're also grown too. So you can't say
True that.
like, but at the same time, like you can only imagine the different, like, cause you have memories as a kid of like what life was like, you know, in the 90s
Yeah.
when there really wasn't technology.
Well, I know
the
one
way it
thing
is
that I
now.
will say, like I miss like the innocence, like I guess,
Oh,
like
yeah.
of
The 90s
of
had an
the 90s
innocence.
where it was just like you could stay home by yourself as a 12-year-old or
Oh, depending on where you
even-
stay. Yeah, no,
even
I ain't like that.
oh
everywhere.
well, where I was
Where
grew
you
up.
where you was at.
I guess I
Yeah.
grew up in the
On the other side of
suburbs
the
or
fence, on the other side of the track.
like we would stay
Yeah,
home.
I mean, it was like that for me too.
Like,
we
as
we grew up
kids,
in a
like,
decent neighborhood.
yeah. Like as kids, like you just stayed home by yourself, and you know until your
Yeah.
mom and dad get home, and
Yeah.
you know, like nowadays, like I know some of my friends would even say like I would never leave my kid at home, and I'm just like, huh, you know, and it's just like I don't know, like I just.
Yeah, I
I haven't
mean-
had to do that because my child is too young to do that anyway. But it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's just interesting because my parents didn't think twice about it. They're like, okay, we're gonna go to the store, y'all just don't open up a door for nobody, you know, and stuff
Right,
like that.
right,
It wasn't
right.
like oh my gosh, this is a big deal, you know.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it was very different in the sense of like just that innocence was there. There was like,
Yeah.
because I feel like especially I feel like we were the first generation where of young kids where that's kind of really started growing up after the post kind of era of civil rights movement. Like we were the first, technically the 80s kids were the first, but even they had to deal with a lot of depending on where you lived.
late 70s, because like
some
of my cousins, like,
well, I'm not talking about necessarily when the law passed, when Roe v. Wade passed, and and then there was the desegregation of schools. So I'm not talking about when that was, because that was passed long time ago. But things didn't really change for people. I feel like maybe the kids born in the 80s, early 80s, were the first, and into the
I would say late 70s. But the only reason I would say that is because I have some cousins that I know for a fact that they didn't.
I'm referring to more so on a bigger scale. Like generally speaking, almost no matter where you went, obviously except for certain parts of the South, in the certain parts of the South.
They went to the school in the South, and they.
Well, I said certain parts of the South, yeah. Like so, like it's not all the South, but
yeah.
Like all I'm saying is I don't know. It's a gut feeling of mine that I feel like the '80s kids were the first real generation to grow up. And we're more of the 90s because we grew up more in the 90s.
Yeah,
so I'm referring to the kids before us, like your sister and even a couple years older than her. My sister
is only 2 years younger.
Yeah, well, we're mid 80s. We're mid 80s,
Yeah.
so meaning we really grew up more in the 90s, whereas your sister has more memories than us from the 80s. So I mean, it's just a general innocence that the 90s had that I feel like, especially since black people we were more well off. We were starting to, society was becoming better for black people, and you started having, our parents, they were, settled into their careers and just the kind of just, I'm just going off my feelings and my experience, but yeah, like I just feel like we were the first year where things, and then it's like also like where, and technology plays a big role in this too, because it's just like we were able to go out and like have fun, and things were about going out and being places,
go up the street and around the corner, and not
things were still about congregating together. Like fun was all about congregating together, whereas now the idea of fun can mean different to a lot of people these days. But generally speaking, like fun meant going out and being with people. And I just feel like now, like it's different. A lot of people are not as sociable now. Like they're nowhere near sociable. And it's got worse since
COVID.
And it's got even worse since the COVID. So it is what it is, man.
Yeah. We have to. Yeah, I guess we just have to. We have to. That's something that I think that we need to revisit. Being more social.
Well, that's like. But there's so many kind of things and elements and experiences that caused us to be what we are now as a generation of people.
Well, I'm saying like revisit in the sense of, because people are not intentional about like making sure that they hang out, or whatever, or talk to people and stuff like that. So just revisiting, making sure that we're having those social interactions and not, staying at home, because a lot of people still stay at home, especially, like I said, especially since COVID. Like a lot of people have gotten comfortable being at home and, just being by themselves and not having other human interaction. And God said it's not good for man to be alone. So
right.
So we have to have human interaction at some point in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, even when we have human interaction, sometimes you can feel like, oh man, and maybe it's just, like because there's just we as a people generally have way more going on than our parents' generation.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
In our age, we have so much more to think about.
Yeah.
Feel like worry about. Because life was is much more.
I'm not saying that you have to, hang out every week with somebody, but like out of a whole month, I feel like you should, try to hang out with your friends, a couple times at least. you know, or at least see them. You don't got to do a full on hangout, you know, and stuff like that. But even if you just drop by or something, I don't know. And I'm preaching to myself because I am, you know, it's hard for me even. So, you know,
we're at that point. It's like, where's the time?
Yeah.
Where's the time, man?
The time has never changed. That's one thing.
Yeah. Well,
between the 90s and
responsibilities change. So, and that adds. So, but that is true. I mean, that's not an excuse. You make time for the things that are important to you. You make time for those things. So yeah.
What do you think we should bring back from the 90s to the present day, if there is anything? And what do you think we should add new that has never happened to the present day?
Well, what we could bring back to the 90s, I mean, we've already brought back the clothes. The kids now are all over our
which I ain't mad at that. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
so much more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like, I don't know, like
Although I like your look, like
my look anyway.
Yeah, your outfit, your fit. That's what they say, fit.
My fit. My style,
right? I think that's what they say.
Yeah, I don't know what they say now. Okay. What do they kids say?
Y'all text us and tell us that.
Everything is like emojis.
We ain't old, but we're from the 90s. So.
Yeah, no, we're old. We're old farts. Yeah. Wait, what was the first part of
that? What do you think we should bring back from the 90s for now, present day?
Bringing back, we could bring back. I like the cars. One of my favorite thing about the 90s is the cars. And what's funny is that the 90s was actually, among a lot of older generations, they actually particularly hated the 90s car. From what I've talked to people, like,
what kind of car do you like?
Oh, I loved it. It was all about Japanese. It was all about Japanese imports in the 90s. It was all about,
I'm asking like I know.
I mean, of course, you have the exotics that I love, like the Lamborghini, the Ferrari. My favorite car of all time is actually from the 80s, a Porsche 944. Love that car, man. That car is a classic. It's still my favorite car. I would love to own one day. But from the 90s itself, my favorite car has probably got to be either a Nissan Skyline or a Mitsubishi 3000 GT. Love those cars, man. Those are Japanese.
And that's probably from... Oh, wait, Fast and Furious is 2000.
Right? Well, yeah, I mean, that movie was featured in Fast and Furious, but the car is from the 90s. So,
yeah.
But I remember growing up as a kid thinking like, oh man, I would love to have my favorite cars were like the Ferrari, and the Mitsubishi GT. Man, those are just car culture was cool back then because it was like I remember when we first got internet in the mid 90s.
Is that when we got internet?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, consumer, the World Wide Web came out in the 90s. So that's when I say internet, I'm talking about the World Wide Web, www.
Like
websites.
AOL.
Yeah, AOL. That's the world. The internet, as you know it, is called the World Wide Web. Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. So, but internet, like being connected to the internet, is something that's been around for a long time. But but World Wide Web came in the 90s. So, but when we got that, we started getting like games. There was like computer games, and there was the encyclopedia that you could look up, and there was like a very few internet sites you could go on and get information. It was so funny.
Man. Like we thought the encyclopedia is cool.
Oh my God. I looked on the encyclopedia all the time because there was no YouTube. There was no social media. There was none of that stuff. So you went on the internet to like find stuff that you couldn't find anywhere else. Yeah. So like, and as a kid,
we used to look up on an encyclopedia. We had to do it in school, like
Carta,
you know
encyclopedia.
Encarta. Like they would teach us how to log on to Encarta, and then they say, okay, look up something, and so we all looked up rap
You looked up whatever
and
your
I always
favorite
do
movies.
that. My brother's doing bad because I don't know the song,
lyrics.
but,
Lyrics was a big
and it
thing
would
back in
actually
the
like
90s.
have the speaker, and so we thought that was cool because it was just like, oh, it's doing the song, and this is old school. And in the 90s, it was like the old school rap or whatever. So we were like, oh my gosh, this is like my dad's rap.
yeah.
I remember that. I was 4th grade.
Yeah. And then the shoes. I would love to bring back the shoes, man. Oh my gosh. Like the shoes have kind of come back from the 90s for the most part, but there's still a lot of the sneaker culture from the 90s that needs to be completely brought back from the dead. Like completely. Like there's no reason why
like the original Jordans.
The shoes.
I'm just kidding.
Well, the Jordans, obviously, the Jordans is probably the shoe that everyone thinks of that always comes back every decade from the 90s. That's come back, but all them shoes were literally originally made in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the popular ones. Mm-hmm. So, but like, I'm talking about like the Billy Hoyts, from the White Men Can't Jump Nikes, and LA Gears, and the Shaq Reeboks, and just some of the dope sneakers from the 90s, man. There was just so many.
LA Gears.
Oh my gosh, just
the pumps,
the Omni pumps. Yeah, the Reebok.
I
Omni
used to have
pumps.
some.
Oh my gosh, they still made those.
What brand was that? Like the pumps with
Reebok.
the basketball.
Reebok.
Oh, that
Omni
was
pumps. Yeah, the high top. They had the high top ones.
I had some of those.
Man, I never had those. I ended up in the 2000s. I ended up getting the Vince Carters. My mom's.
They didn't make you jump higher.
Oh, but no, they made you feel. No, they had actually the Vince Carters were the shocks. So you.
Oh yeah.
They had the little
shock,
little
thing.
bubble at the thing. Yeah, they didn't make you jump higher, but it made you feel like you jumped higher. They make me jump higher. They didn't make me
lying
jump
out their teeth.
But I'm telling you, man, it's like the shoe culture, as a boy, like shoe culture, car culture. I was really into National Geographic and like animals and marine biology. So like watching, my idea of a fun weekend would be just like, okay, you stay up all night on Friday, watch some bad stuff.
Dang, babe.
Man, as a kid,
keep it PG.
Well, that's why I said this. We tried to stay up to watch the bad stuff. If we couldn't sneak the bad stuff.
What do you call it? After BET?
After night.
On BET?
The late night. You try to watch. You stay up to watch the late night stuff, the late night movies, y'all. Every little boy tried to do that in the 90s.
Okay.
Every little boy.
Well,
not every boy, but certainly this boy. And then we would play a video game, or we'd sleep over each other's house, and we'd play a board game or whatever. Pokemon cards was big in the late 90s for me. Like,
what is it?
We played
the round ones, pods.
Yeah, I didn't get into pods.
I
don't knock people for it.
I didn't get into it. I collected them, but I was like, why am I collecting this? Like, because it was just like everybody, collected them. So I was like, I guess I should do it too.
There were so many like little, and then there were like big eras. Like, remember
I like
Elmo,
the Tamagotchis though.
The Tamagotchi. Every Christmas there was something big happening. So it was like Elmo one year, the Green Ranger, the Power Rangers. There's just like so many memorable things. Is like, I just don't know if they have the same hype because the hype wasn't
the kids
built around
nowadays
social
probably
media.
wouldn't.
So the hype was different. Like every year, every kid had a hype. Like hype existed every decade.
Every
like
decade,
for a kid. Like there was always something.
Well,
but it was different. Like, I feel
that.
like kids are so in tune with social media now, like young kids, that it's just like stuff moves so quickly, like information.
They get bored real quick. Yeah.
The information moves so quickly, you're like always on to the next thing. So I don't know. I can't imagine the way they digest things is the way there's no way they digest things the way because we had to wait for either the catalog to come in the mail to look for the Macy's
Christmas
or the new toys.
Yeah.
We was like, what's the new toys coming out?
You go
to Toys R Us. Toys R Us was like the place to be.
Yeah.
Like,
everybody was there.
And then what was the CD store in the mall? You look up the music.
FYE
for your entertainment.
And then Blockbuster.
And then oh my gosh. How could I forget? Yeah.
And everybody on Friday night was with their parents.
Everybody.
And then you get pizza.
And you drop the
Pizza
tape
Hut
off
was
in the
always
little
next
drop-off
to
thing.
Pizza Hut or Taco Bell was next to Blockbuster.
What was
ours
next
was
to
Taco
ours?
Bell.
I can't even remember what was next to ours.
Ours was like
because we had a couple
by Taco
Blockbusters that we went to, but the main one, it was like it was a standalone store. It was like big.
Yeah, we had
it took
a
up its
standalone.
own.
Yeah,
it took up its own thing. It was like, man, oh my gosh, Are You Afraid of the Dark? TGIF,
Nickelodeon,
Disney stuff. It just
my favorite show was Kids Incorporated and Mickey Mouse Club.
Man,
with all the stars now, and stuff like that. Wow, I loved it because they sang and they were theatrical. I love that. Like, we watched that faithfully.
Yeah. Man. TGIF right there was just like a cultural. TGIF. It was a cultural like cornerstone, man. TGIF was like, it's what you did on Fridays. Like you did TGIF. You played outside. So you get home from school, you go outside, you play with your friends, and then you come in, you eat. We ate either Chinese food or pizza or whatever my mom cooked, if she cooked anything. And then we would, either one of my friends would stay over or I would stay over at my friend's house, and then we would watch TGIF or we would watch movies and we'd stay up late. It was just like every Friday, it was just the business. Like, it was so good.
Family Matters.
Family Matters, Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Full House.
Man.
I used to watch all those shows. I used to watch a lot of TV, though. So.
That's what I would bring back is like, but you can't really like, it's just like, I'm sure that there's some stuff out there now, but it's just like the way we digest things and the way we consume and understand content and entertainment is just so different. I can't imagine. You could literally bring those shows back, erase them from our memories, bring them back now, and it would be different because they don't make sense.
Yeah, they don't make sense. Yeah, because I actually just recently, not like a year ago or something, watched the Family Matters, and they don't a lot of the stuff.
The same, yeah.
Well, no, it was still good, and maybe more so nostalgia type deal, but like
a lot of that is.
But like, yeah, it was. I liked how it had like, what do you call it? Stories or lessons.
Oh, I mean that was like that's what I like. Good is like a lot of times they had like little PSAs attached to them. So whether it be about bullying or about depression or domestic violence, like there was like special episodes that like dedicated to that.
Yeah.
I mean, like there was always a lesson. It's like morals were still a big part of television
what we're missing is morals.
So that's what I would bring
back.
That's what I would bring to
from the
90s is the moral compass that we generally speaking. It didn't matter what religion you were, what culture you came from, like just the moral compass and the general consensus around morality that existed in the 90s that I think made the 90s so innocent. That, I mean, obviously there was so much crime and so much bad things going on in the 90s as well. There was a lot of people won't share the same experiences that we had.
Yeah, because they were a different age or whatever.
Up in a different, era, different area, and they weren't as well off as we were. So, like, obviously, like, somebody else was going to have a very different opinion about the 90s. They could have hated the 90s because of what it reminded them of. But I feel like for us, it was
just coming from our opinion.
From our perspective and from us, like, we thoroughly enjoyed the 90s was it.
Yeah. And then I would definitely say morals to bring back.
Yeah, just that moral.
Because people don't have morals no more, so yeah.
Yeah, it's everything is like, it's what it seems like now is like everything is what you make of it. Like how did like there's just no foundation, and you can just see how just that moral consciousness just kind of departed because TV and entertainment is really to serve our flesh.
Like literally,
it's more. It's always made to serve our flesh. So I'm not gonna sit here and say
but it's literally
it's more now.
We can't I literally can't watch things because the moral compass is so like lopsided. I guess you could call it.
I mean, like as a kid, you looked forward to good things. Now, we're here looking from our point of view to the 2020s, the decade of the 2020s. So
yeah,
our opinion and our experience is very limited to our
2022.
world. So we're not here saying like there isn't that going on. I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff going on in the culture that's uplifting. It's just it doesn't have the same.
It's not just
it doesn't have the same place as it used to. Like it used to be on basic cable television, and we're talking about just strictly like
that's what I was
television
about to say.
culture,
television
and
not,
film culture.
That is not the norm to be in front. Like
it's not.
You got to go hunt for that now.
Like everyone's cussing and everything now.
Yeah,
like,
and it's okay.
It's like even on the radio, like I can't like on the regular radio, like they don't even censor stuff no more.
Yeah,
I think they still kind of censor the F word and the N word,
but it's just like
they don't.
My thing is okay. Like why do you allow?
They don't make
that could be a whole.
Well, and that's a whole other thing. But they don't make like back in the day. Like they used to make. Artists used to literally record separate tracks, separate like edited tracks with separate lyrics to accommodate.
Yeah.
Like they don't do that no more. They just bleep it out, and like that kind of just that's kind of proof that there's just not a lot of care for that anymore. Yeah. Like they just don't care. Like, because it's like these kids listen to what they want to anyway. They have it at their fingertips. So it's like, why even bother? Yeah, like, and it just, that, man, it just, that it is what it is. Yeah. It is what it is. That's the part I miss the most.
Yeah, so morals I definitely would bring back. So, in music, I would want, better. I mean, we have some good music out there. I'm not going to say all this music nowadays is bad, but and I guess that goes with the morals because it's like when you have certain morals, you're gonna make music that's appropriate or whatever. So
and I guess I feel like I'm starting in the last couple of years. I'm starting to change my perspective of the music industry. Like music has certainly changed, but like around the early 2010s, I started to hate music. Like. I was like the last of the music culture I was like into. And then my reasoning, and I was just like, I kind of just disregarded music as a whole. And then when I got saved, all I listened to was worship. Yeah. And that's still all I really listen to is faith-based music, Christian music. And I still listen to R&B and jazz music. And but it's got to be clean. It's got to be clean to my ears, stuff that I don't
it's my motto.
I don't care
clean
to get into
and good to my
any
ears.
kind of, songs that's trying to really,
send a message
overtly
that is
dig
not,
into. So, but now for me, I know there's good music out there. There's a lot of good music. It's just that I guess it was me that changed. I was going through a lot of personal changes. So music for me was like one of those things that I kind of like lashed my feelings out at music because it was just like I saw the music starting to change and I was becoming one of those bitter cats that was like hated the mumble rap and I mean I was changing, so that was a person. Well, right, I still don't like it, but I'm saying like I was, but like I don't like it. It's just I was changing. You know what I mean? Like I was becoming a man, and if I was growing up and if I was a younger age and I wasn't the man that I am today, I probably would have adopted some of that, but just because I liked different types. But we also came from an era where there was East Coast music. There was West Coast music. There was the South music, the dirty South music.
Yeah, like, so you had
cultural
place.
Regions to pull from and to kind of help.
Now it's all just
there was an
thing.
Identity, but now it don't matter where you're from because all the music all the beats sound the same. A lot of the artists, certainly in hip hop. I mean,
I feel like it's just repetitive, and it's just like
I'm not here to jump on hip hop. Yeah. What I'm saying is that it does, and that the truth is out there is that it does. 99% of it sounds the same, mainly because the culture where the South and the West and the North all had different styles. Like that clearly doesn't exist anymore. Like y'all have to have grown up in that time. I think also it could
just be because people don't stay in their hometowns anymore either. So like, so
I mean that's definitely a small part to play.
Because now there's a lot more people moving around and
Yeah, I just
setting up
think,
camp
you
in
know,
other
what happened
places.
is in the early 2000s, music started to change. And I'm speaking more so from a hip hop. I mean, all music, but hip hop changed changed the entire music industry because it affected pretty much all the music genres except for probably country, country, and
I
like
love
obviously
country.
like classical and stuff like that.
Country
We're
is
talking
so
about
good.
between hip hop, pop, R&B,
Rascal
soul,
Flatts.
yeah. But yeah, like so it just
Well, things I would add to now is like the school, like learn like I think we need to change up our school system on how we're teaching kids and stuff like that. So I would just change
well,
up that
yeah, well
aspect,
that's
which
a moral
actually
heart
I
change
just saw on
too.
the news that the governor did approve the finance. They have to have a finance class
Wow, yeah.
before they graduate.
That was
Which
not expected,
that's
and I'm very happy
amazing.
that he did
Yeah,
that.
I am
'Cause,
so glad he did that. So
um,
that's a step in a direction. But
yeah,
I just feel like we need to do a whole revamp of how we do education because, like,
yeah,
I don't think it always. Excuse me. I don't think it always like
yeah.
serves
We're trying to put too
everybody.
much. We're trying to put too much responsibility on the teachers. Their job is to just teach. Their job
Yeah.
is not to be. And I know that this is probably going to sound controversial, but their job is to love you. But their job is to actually teach.
Yeah.
Their job isn't to be your parent.
No. Yeah.
Now, if some teachers adopt you as kind of like that kind of child that knows that you don't come from a stable home or you don't have a family that loves you, you know, then that is what, like, and I really don't even want to get into all that. I just, on this video,
Yeah.
but basically what I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, our school system, I think, is trying too hard to incorporate things that only should be taught in the household, and that's really what I'm trying to get at. Is that
I don't even think they do that. And personally,
they're trying.
I think it's more so they're not like I was coming from an angle of they need to actually teach these kids skills like starting in middle school and on
Too, yeah.
I feel like they need to start. I think England does it or whatever where they separate and tell the kids like, hey, you need what career path do you want to go to, and then they start on that career path and like I think it's middle school or it might be high school. I don't know. I had to ask my sister. She used to live in England or whatever, but like they get on that career path. So if they want to be an electrician, then they're going to start.
Yeah, they have more
start
of like apprenticeship type of
either
approach.
Like middle school or high school, and that's their goal or whatever. So they don't learn anything that a lawyer is going to learn. They don't learn what a doctor is going to learn. You know, they get their fundamentals in elementary school, which is learning how to add, subtract, you know, stuff like that, and read, you know, and then after that, then they go on. I believe that's
vocation.
That's a better system.
We had that. It just wasn't. They didn't.
They have vocational school, but it was
exist.
usually made for people who were disruptive in the class. At least the ones that I saw in my school, like it was because the kids were disruptive or whatever,
Okay,
and
it wasn't
and
really
they were
like
like, well,
that
let's
for
just
us.
put you here so
It
you're
was
not.
more of like an extracurricular thing. It was an extracurricular thing that you did. Like,
well, I don't know.
So I
went to school. I guess we're bad kids.
Well, yeah. I mean, only in the first
all
part.
I remember is like kids would be acting up in class, and then the next thing you know, they in vocational school, and they would like some of the kids would be like, I don't want to go, like yelling and stuff like that. Yeah. So I thought, oh, maybe.
Well, vocation school wasn't like a boarding school. It's not like it was a boarding school.
Yeah, but so that's what I'm talking about. Just having those paths, so it's not like, oh, you're segregating these type of kids because they can't do whatever, and they're not like these other kids, you know, and stuff like that. Just have them in their path and have them start thinking about what they want to be before they graduate high school, and then then you know now they're on that path, and then they're probably going to be more successful because of the fact that. That they're on the path that they decided.
I mean, I wish they would just teach more vocation and more. I wish, and that's another thing I would bring to the now that's not from the 90s. Yeah. It's just generally now is like, I didn't know how to answer that question before, but now I know. Like, that's what I would bring into right now is especially here in America, is we don't have enough. We don't it's more of it's not even just our resource thing. It's more of like our mindset. Like, we don't champion, we as a society champion on more of the academic side. We tend to champion law school. Yeah.
Doctors, school. Yeah, law school and medical school.
And then on the other side, we don't we champion sports and entertainment. Yeah. And it's like it's very lopsided. Not everybody is that. Where's the wonder and the why aren't we championing being teachers and being just all the other important roles that people play in society that aren't the entertainers and athletes and not the doctors and lawyers, because there's like a whole other industry or a whole other world out there that's like not getting the
kudos that they need.
I guess the exposure it deserves. Yeah. Like, it's just like people like electricians and plumbers.
You wouldn't have a house if you didn't have an electrician.
Like
or a toilet
like
if you didn't have
builders, people who do masonry.
Yeah.
Whatever, like
I think that's amazing. I want to actually take classes on carpentry and stuff.
I mean, yeah.
Side note.
So like those kinds of careers are still very much like a part of, and they're now more than ever. And they're
never going to go away because you have like we have to have houses to live in. So it's just like Yeah. But anyway. So that's what I would add to our future is just that
90s, man.
Yeah,
we kind of detoured from the 90s, but the 90s was where was that? I think is that it.
That's it. Yeah.
All right, y'all. We just wanted to just kind of let the belt down. We just wanted to have a little fun. Just a fun one. Throw a fun one at y'all, man.
Another fun one because last week was fun too.
Last week was fun. I mean, all of our episodes are fun.
Yeah. Definitely.
All our episodes are fun, right? Right?
Right, guys?
Right? I'm going to keep zooming in when I do it. I'm going to zoom. Right? Right.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, we'll probably have to revisit this again. We just wanted to kind of like, just like we were talking, we were like, man, as a matter of fact, we were doing it in the last episode. We were saying like the 90s. We got to talk about the 90s.
Yeah.
We got to bring this.
I think we did it. Yeah.
Yeah. We said it in the last episode and we were so
I'm ready to,
like, just kind of just show off, we don't talk really much about us personally and like where we come from. So over the course, of the next,
West Philadelphia.
No, it's not the right time to be singing. No.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's too soon. Too soon for any Will Smith references right now. Too soon right now. Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, we can't really reference Will. Yeah,
I understand really Will.
We love you, Will.
We love you.
We know you.
I understood your heart.
We're gonna let it out now. We understood where your heart is. You was wrong though.
Yeah.
He was wrong. He was dead wrong. Chris, you were wrong too. But you didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
So
could have had a
I read one person's response I read. I thought it was the perfect one-liner to kind of wrap this whole thing up. And the person said, bad joke, worse response.
Yeah.
I was like, done. I was like, that's it. That's the best way to evaluate that in one quick sentence. Yeah. Because, we all make mistakes. Yeah. Especially when you've gone through the emotional roller coaster that Big Willie style, went through, his career and his life, his personal life. Yeah. So we got to show him love and forgiveness like we would show anybody.
Yep. Grace.
Everyone deserves grace.
And
it's
mercy.
It's because it's already paid for.
Yep.
It's not something that we deserve.
Yeah.
It's no one. Get that out of your head that you deserve what you have. You deserve anything because grace was already paid for. It was already paid for.
When Jesus died.
Blood on the cross, baby.
And rose again.
So we love you, Will, and we going to pray for you and continue to be there, in support for you.
And your family.
And just pray that God really continues to intervene the way he did with Denzel.
I know,
Shout out to Denzel over there, man, with the ultimate
That's
wisdom, man.
about.
With the sideline wisdom, he hit him with. Yo,
Ooh, that was powerful.
That was a powerful moment to witness that, because we watched everything live. Yeah, we caught the whole thing live.
The whole thing. I was like,
wait, what?
Yeah.
I was like, he hit him for real, because
everybody said he was faking.
most people thought, no, I didn't know. I didn't think he was faking. I knew it was real. I was waiting for confirmation that it was real. And when they cut the audio signal, that's when I was like, because I was like, he hit him.
Yeah.
So I was like, so unless that was a part of it, I was like, that he actually hit him.
Yeah.
So
But that's our bid on it. We're not gonna talk about it no more.
I'm done with what we done.
We
with
forgive you, Will, and we forgive Chris.
We forgive you, Chris.
Yeah.
We
understand. We all make mistakes.
Joke. It wasn't even a sharp joke.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he didn't know.
He might have not known.
But at the same time, just because you don't know something doesn't mean that it's okay.
A pass.
It's okay. It's a pass. So, like, we love you, Chris. We love you, Will. Praying for you both, and
y'all just make up and
because them two really ran the 90s. So it's funny that we talk about the 90s, and those were two icons from the 90s, Will and Chris. So all right, y'all, love you guys.
Love y'all.
Be back in the next one.
Peace.